Hi, this is Peter Konechny from medievalist.net, and we are here at the University of Toronto, where Subway is just underneath us. That's where you hear the rumble. But we are here at the Canadian Conference for Medieval Art Historians, and it's a two-day conference. And we are here with Professor Adam Cohen, who is one of the organizers of it. He's a professor of art at the University of Toronto. Thank you for talking with us.
Peter, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. First of all, could you just tell us a little bit about this conference and what's going on here?
Okay, we're here at the 31st annual conference, held each year somewhere in Canada. It's a rotating conference that moves from site to site, in part because we want to give people interested in medieval art throughout the country the opportunity to participate. And so, although we have a great concentration of medieval studies and medieval art history in particular here in Toronto, we have colleagues throughout the country, and it's a good opportunity once a year to come together in a casual atmosphere to share thoughts and meet up with one another and have a good time both intellectually and socially.
Now, I've noticed we've heard a few papers so far dealing with art and architecture, various kinds. I've noticed that a lot of the people presenting and the faculty are from the University of Toronto and the nearby York University. And I was wondering, what is this kind of Toronto kind of a center for kind of art history, medieval art history?
I think it's fair to say that, and there are multiple factors, including simple demographics, and Toronto being such a great metropolis and home to two excellent universities. So by virtue of that, we tend to attract a lot of people, and we have fairly substantial graduate programs in art history in general and by implication in medieval. And so we can twist our we can give our graduate students the opportunity to attend the conference and to hear from people that they might not otherwise get to listen to. So we try. Also, simply, it's although on the one hand I want to give credit to institutions like U of T in York for being so strong in medieval studies, it's also a simple practical matter. We're the host institution. It's easy for the students to come, right? When the conference is held in Winnipeg or Vancouver, there'll be a much greater percentage of students from the West Coast or the center of the country. So our students don't travel as easily to such far places. So it's both it's a factor of several things.
Besides yourself, what kind of other faculty members at York and Toronto are kind of leading experts in the areas of medieval art?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. This year we had, for the first time, more proposals to speak than we ever had before, and we had to turn some people away. Normally, the CCMAH is a great opportunity for medieval art historians, whether they're first-year PhD students or scholars who've been working for 40 years, to come together in a convivial atmosphere and present their work in progress, and they all get the same positive reception. It's a very easygoing conference, very convivial. So normally it's historically been a place where people could get their start or just share in a very non-threatening atmosphere. But for the first time we had to turn some people away. So I think that part of it is because we're in Toronto. And so there's a roundabout way of answering your question. None of the organizers who normally would speak chose to speak. In order to be fair. We didn't want to carve out places for ourselves. So you haven't gotten to hear the University of Toronto professors. Jill Caskey, who is an expert in architecture and patronage, Italy primarily, Jens Volesen, who also works in Italy and aspects of Crusader art, Byzantine art, and the East. My third co-organizer is Professor Linda Satrin, who's currently associated with the Pontifical Institute, who's an expert in southern Italy, and I'm the lone figure who represents Northern Europe with my interest in Germany Anglo-Saxon England.
Yeah, I was just getting into that. Like, how did you wind up getting interested? Like, you've done on Etonian art, and German art, and Anglo-Saxon. How did you wind up getting into that field?
Do you want the official story or the real story?
I think the real story is the best.
The real story is I got turned on as an undergraduate, like so many people, and I had the good fortune to get accepted into an excellent program at Johns Hopkins, where I fell under the sway of Herbert Kessler, who introduced me to the study of early medieval manuscripts. And it was in a course of his that I encountered Etonian manuscripts from around the year 1000 for the first time. And they were absolutely the most drop-dead gorgeous things I'd ever seen. And not only that, they were complicated with dense iconography and really spoke to my interest in not just the Middle Ages, but the real Dark Ages. You know, none of this French Gothic stuff for me, or, you know, Trecento Italian painting. I wanted something hardcore. So I didn't know much about it when I started, but I just fell into it and fell in love, and I've been with that ever since.
That's really fascinating. It's great. And now you're really prolific in writing. I see that you just edited a volume of papers, and you have 2 books that are in progress. Could you tell us a little about that?
Sure. You know, it's always very dangerous to get a scholar to talk about his own work, so I'll make sure I keep it short. The first volume you speak of, it took many years. It's the edited essays of one of my predecessors here at the University of Toronto, an eminent scholar named Robert Deschman, who worked on Anglo-Saxon and early medieval art, primarily manuscript illumination. And I'm pleased that that is now out from the good medieval people at Kalamazoo who published the book and did a terrific job. We really want to get Bob Deschman's work out there. He died in 1995, but his work has not yet been surpassed, and we want more people to know about it. My own projects include a SSHRC-funded project. I have to give the Canadian government a shout-out for the funding, and that is a project on 12th century miscellanies and compendium knowledge and diagrammatic illustrations. Very serious, very boring. And the second project is on 2-page spreads in illuminated manuscripts, which I need a visual for. It's a book where I investigate those relatively rare instances where the pictures communicate over facing pages and across the gutter and do something interesting. And so that's really been a fun project that's let me go beyond my home base in Germany and look at things from the 4th to the 15th century, and that's a lot of fun. And you know, you won't see either of these things in Barnes & Noble anytime soon, but you never know.
Well, hopefully our medieval community will be clamoring for it. And thank you so much for having us here, and good luck with your own research.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Great.